music and words that you're about to hear.
Now I've been smiling, dreaming about the world at once. I believe it could be someday it's gonna come. 'Cause I'm only getting young. There are these things, this country coming home again. These things sounding down the side on this thing. Come on, these train road, these roads, never come on these things. Just come on these trains, yes, it's the East Side.
Isn't it nice to have a little bit of space? Just to pause and listen and be. I know you all have really busy lives, full plates, and believe me, so do I. And that's actually why I provided us with this blank slide, this space to start our journey together. Because our journey this morning isn't about arriving somewhere else. It's about taking the time to pause, to create the space, to cultivate more peace in our lives right where we are. So let's take a moment to practice that right now, right where we are. Get comfortable. If you want, you can allow your eyes to gently close, or you can gaze softly at the ground, or you can just look at the blank screen in front of you, taking in the space, the spaciousness, and check in with how you're feeling right now, physically, in your body, in your heart, in your emotions, and in your mind. And then take a deep breath in and out. Feel your feet on the ground, and the chair underneath the backs of your legs, maybe supporting your back. And see if you can allow the support of the chair to hold you, and the floor and the earth underneath the floor. In these moments, you don't need to hold anybody else up. You don't need to work at anything. All you need to do is be held by the support of the chair and the floor to listen and breathe. So take a few more deep breaths. And now check in again with how you're feeling. Physically, in your body, mentally, in your mind. Bless you. And emotionally, in your heart. And you can allow your eyes to open or bring your attention, your focus back to the front of the room. Did anybody sense a different feeling in yourself or in the room than before we took that moment to pause? Raise your hand if you want to share a word or two about what you noticed. Yes.
I did not catch the cold that went around my house.
You might have just come
So you actually, was it the sneeze that triggered that?
No, it was, my body was thinking about it for a couple of days, and I just realized the foggy brain for the past few days has gone away.
So you actually tuned into how well you're feeling right now. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, what did you notice?
I should do that more often
And you should do that more often. And can you tell me why?
because it brings you back to yourself.
Yeah, okay. Did that help anybody else come back to yourself? Or to feel more, raise your hand if you felt any more calm or relaxed or present after that. Great, isn't it amazing how just taking a small moment to pause, that was less than a minute, can go a long ways towards creating more peace? Any other thoughts? Anything else you noticed? Yes?
It went from not to being still. There was this moment of just complete stillness, which we never know.
Wow, notice that stillness. Wonderful. And I love everything that people noticed, like you weren't mindful of the fact that you actually were feeling well. When people around you had been feeling sick, and that fear of getting sick was gone. And I just used the word mindful. Mindfulness is a very popular topic and word these days. It was actually a mindfulness 3-day training that Joyce met me on and why she brought me in here. So some of you may have heard about it, you may be familiar with it, and others may be wondering like I was when I first heard the word, what do they mean by mindful? My mind is definitely full. All right, does anybody identify with this person on the left? Her mind's full of all her thoughts and everything she's juggling. We miss a lot with our busy lives, our busy pace. The trees, the sun, the sky, the space. All right, does anybody identify more with the dog? Okay, well, those of you that do, you're doing great, because this is what mindfulness can help us with. Not becoming dogs, but learning to become more present in our lives with whatever is happening. To pause, create a little or a lot more space in our worlds. Now it's likely that you're going to see more blank slides this morning than you've ever seen in a slideshow before, and not because I didn't have time to finish this, but because I really want to drive home this notion, this experience of space. So let's take advantage of this reminder and take another deep breath. Before we go further on our journey together, I want to share a little bit about my own personal journey and how I arrived to be standing in front of all of you today. Well, I was born in 1961 in Seattle into not the most relaxed family. And that's a huge understatement. So I really needed to learn how to reduce my stress. But I didn't. I didn't know how. I didn't even know I could. And then at the age of 21, I went to Sri Lanka on a semester abroad program. And for those of you who don't know where Sri Lanka is, it's a tiny island nation just off the tip of India. It was 1983. The other students had left the country a few days earlier. And suddenly and unexpectedly, I found myself caught in the beginning of the Sri Lankan Civil War and surrounded by the most unimaginable violence and horrors of war. Now, I know not everyone's been in a war, but have any of you ever been in a chaotic or frightening situation? Now that I've raised all this potential stress in the room, let's all take a deep breath together. I wish that I had known and done this one simple practice back then. Because for the past 30 years, I've needed to learn and practice lots and lots of techniques in order to reduce my anxiety and stress levels, and in order to find my way into a balanced way of living, and to find my way back to center over and over and over. And that's what brings me here today. It's what allows me to be here in front of all of you today. It's what makes me so passionate about sharing these techniques, and especially with all of you, because as the daughter of a teacher who started his teaching career nearby in Port Angeles, and as a lifetime educator myself doing a lot of work in the ECE field, I know that we in the world of education and childcare, whatever our role is, teacher, director, assistant, administrator, coordinator, it's hard work. Often really rewarding intrinsically, hard. So we really need to take care of ourselves for our own sake and also for the sake of those around us. Take care? I don't know how to do that. Who has time for that? Okay, I don't know if those voices are, I'm seeing some nodding heads, but I know those voices. I know that thought well. And I also know, like a lot of you probably do too, that many of us who are good at taking care of others, really good at it, often don't take the time to take care of ourselves. And I know, through lots of personal experience, that if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not taking the time to pause and check in and see what we need to do to take care and then doing that, our stresses can add up, and if they don't literally burn us out, they can start to feel like a disaster that we can't get ourselves out from under. Anybody ever feel like that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like you're going to be buried or already are under an avalanche of paper? Whatever our personal war zone is. Too much paper to manage, a room full of screaming children, an irate parent, a room full of needy parents, or too much everything to manage. Without self-care, without self-awareness, we can harm ourselves and others with the effects of our stress. Can you get that? How that avalanche of stress can really affect our bodies, and our emotions, our hearts, and our minds, and how that can affect those around us, including, as Joyce mentioned, the children. So one thing I really want to make clear is that if we want to get on that peace train and keep going on it and take others along with us, the children, the parents, our coworkers, our friends, our family, and we will fall off the train, believe me, many times, but if we want to keep getting back on it, it is really important that we understand that taking care of ourselves is not frivolous or optional. It's an essential developmental building block that if we've never learned it, we need to learn it now. For our own health and well-being, definitely. And also so that we can model it and teach it through our example to others. So how do we do this? Here's one way of looking at it, one lens to view it through. Here's some space again. Let's take another breath. You guys are great at this. It really is this experience of space that we're looking to create. Because normally something happens and we react. There's a stimulus and a reaction. Joyce shared some examples of that this morning. And some of you may have your own examples, maybe an extra report request landing on your already overflowing desk. Or a parent arriving late to pick up their child on the one day that you have to leave early. These things happen. And we react. Often hurting those around us or ourselves, often with results that aren't good for us or for others, including, again, the children. So what's the alternative? How do we learn to respond rather than react? Between stimulus and response, there's that space again. There is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So between stimulus and response, there is a space. So how do we create that space? How do we develop that habit of that space in our own lives? Through practice. Learning techniques and then lots and lots of ongoing practice. And we practice when we're not stressed, so that we can have the presence of mind, of body, of heart to use these techniques when we need them the most. So let's do that. Let's practice a little more. I wanted to share this slide to illustrate the universal nature of these practices. I did a training at a school, an after-school program for children of sex-trafficked women in India. For the children ages 3 and up, and the teens, and the teachers up to age 70. I've taught these same techniques all around this country, from inner city public schools to Head Start programs, to private day schools, to preschools, from Atlanta to Oakland to Port Townsend. And guess what? These techniques are needed everywhere. And they work everywhere. So let's practice a little more. And we're going to do a few different techniques because different techniques work for different people at different times. So go ahead and check in again with how you're feeling right now, in your body, in your mind, in your heart. Just notice your feet on the ground. Let your hands just relax by your side. You can actually do this exercise either lying down, if you need to do that, you're welcome to, or standing up, which you're also welcome to do, or sitting down. And as we take a deep breath, we're going to let our arms just float gently up. And then exhale as the arms come down. If you need to scoot your chair back a little, you can do that. Do that another time. And the next time we do this, I'm going to invite you to let out a sigh or a sound on the exhalation. The exhalation is a really natural place to let out any extra tension or stress. And if we all do it together, none of us will have to feel self-conscious about it, including me. Okay? Ready? So, going up again. Again. Just do it a few more times with or without a sigh at your own pace. All right, good job. And now check in again with how you're feeling. Mentally, physically, emotionally. And just show us in the room with a thumbs up, down, or in the middle. Thumbs up if you felt any more present or relaxed. Thumbs in the middle if you felt about the same. And thumbs down if you felt a little worse. All right. So that was a lot of thumbs up. And there were some in the middle. I didn't see any down, but there might have been that I didn't see. And that's a really common ratio. So even if, let's all take a deep breath. This is what we practice with. Okay. So, if you notice, if your thumbs were not up, but if you notice that other people did that, again, notice that in less than a minute, it works. So you might want to try it again and use it for those around you. If your thumbs were in the middle, maybe you need to do a little bit more before you can get that additional relaxation, or maybe you were already pretty chill, pretty relaxed, so you just kind of stayed where you were. And if anybody's thumbs did go down, one reason that might have been is sometimes when we feel a lot of pain, either in our heart or in our bodies, we look to protect ourselves, so we put tension around that. And when we breathe, it can relax some of that tension. And so we might feel some more of that pain, but that actually helps it to melt and to dissipate. So I want to tell you a story about a time when I used this exercise, and it really speaks to the practice. I was doing a training for the YMCA Early Childhood Education Program, and I had done trainings with them about 5 a year for the last 7 years. So we've done a lot of practice with breathing. And we had just done a mindfulness program where we did a lot more practice. And I came back a week later, and I heard this story from one of the teachers about how it had been really hot. There was a heat wave in Oakland. And even though we're in California, it's the Bay Area, and when it goes over 68 degrees, we don't know what to do. And this was in the upper 80s. And so the kids were going nuts in the yard. The little ones, they were just like, it's too hard to swing, it's going in my eyes, I can't stand it. So one of the teachers, she pulled a group of students aside and she started doing this with them, and it started working. But there was this one little boy who never was able to sleep. And never able to calm himself, and he was still going ballistic. So one of the teachers pulled him aside and she said, "You're going to breathe with me." Don't breathe. Breathe. I ain't gonna breathe. One more breath. I can't breathe. And this little one who never fell asleep, fell asleep. And that teacher, she had the presence of mind when all the kids were going nuts and it wasn't working for this one little one because they practiced before. She was able to pull that right in. So let's do another one. So what I'd like you to do is put your hands on your belly and your stomach and just breathe in and out. See what you notice. So what did you notice? Raise your hand if you want it and tell me what you noticed. Okay. Anybody notice your hands pushing your stomach up and down? Your belly moving up and down? So I want you to check in before we go further with this exercise again with how you're feeling. Check-in's really important, mentally, physically, emotionally. And now, let's teach us a little bit how you might want to do it if you were doing it with the little ones, the older little ones, maybe the 4 or 5-year-old. So I need your help with something. Can you help me out? Yeah. Okay, so I want to say the words breathing in and out while I breathe in and out, but I can't do that myself. Breathing in. So will you actually say the words for me? Watch me and say the words breathing in and breathing out while I breathe in and out. Yeah? Okay, so you got to watch carefully. Oh, you can't just do it. Okay, so.
Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Breathe out.
You're paying attention? Okay, great. So now I'm going to do the same thing for you. So all you have to do is put your hands on your belly, and I will say the words breathing in, breathing out. You can have your eyes open or allow them to close. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing out. And now I want you to continue to say those words silently in your own mind, just matching the rhythm of your breath. Breathing out. Now check in again with how you're feeling. In your body, your mind, your heart. And bring your attention back to the front. And show us all and look around with your thumbs how that was. If you feel any more relaxed, any more calm or centered or present, thumbs up. Same in the middle, down. Okay, great. It looks like a big majority of the room felt that. Does anybody in here ever have trouble sleeping? You know, when I asked this to a group of 4 and 5-year-olds, actually, it's surprising how most of them will raise their hands too. And this technique, I heard from 4 and 5-year-olds all the way up to people in their 70s that it can help when you're having trouble sleeping. And believe me, I was using it last night. So we're going to do one more. This one's great for the little ones not even having to tell them that you need them to breathe. Just get them breathing and having fun at the same time. And it's called animal breathing. So we're going to do a few animals. The first one we're going to do is the lion. So this is not one that you'd like to do right before nap time. Or I don't think you'd like to do it right before nap time because it's going to get more oxygen in them. And it's going to raise their energy, but it's not going to make them tired. So, okay, I need y'all to do it with me. Ready? So if your arms by your side. Oh, first check in. How are you feeling? Your mind, your body, your heart. Now. that breath. And the last one is not an animal, but it goes along with all of these. So if you know which is your right hand, put it up in the air. Wow, you guys really know your right hand. That's great. At least most of you do. So now go ahead and put it down the side. And then raise your left hand. And for those of you who are still learning, put it right here. And we're going to do the rainbow. Really good animals rating and rainbows. So go ahead and check in with how you're feeling now. Mentally, physically, in your heart. Go ahead and take another deep breath. And show me how you're feeling with your thumbs. How that last one was. So one thing that you may notice when you do it with the kids, you know, it can get them in a good mood. It can, depending on how it goes, how you do it, it can get a lot of excitement in there. And also you can do the calming ones to get the calming going on. So did anyone notice anything in common between these three different techniques or practices we just did? Breathing. Excellent. They're all about the breath. It's about getting more oxygen, helping us pay attention to our breath. And you may have noticed that when we're stressed or anxious, we tend to hold our breath, to breathe more shallowly. And we need oxygen. Oxygen is food for the brain, nutrition for our brains, our bodies, our nervous system. We need sufficient oxygen in order to function optimally and with more ease. I'm going to share an experience with you that really moved me. I had done an all-day training with Spanish-speaking ECU providers in Madera, California, which is a small town in the Central Valley, not far from Yosemite. And at the end of the day, at the end of the 8 hours, one of the participants just burst into tears, streaming down her face, and she said, "No one ever told me. All my life, I've been taking care of other people. Other people's children, my own children, my husband. No one ever told me that it was an option and actually a responsibility to take care of others." What a revelation that was for that woman, that she could take care of herself, and that she was supposed to, and that it would help others as well. Doesn't mean that it's easy, or that everybody else is already doing this. Again, it's a fundamental, developmental building block that for a lot of people, just like this woman, has been totally ignored. And once we learn it or are reminded of it, it takes practice. Lots of practice. It's the only way to build the habit, creating that space for self-care, to pause, to take a breath. So let's do one more practice. That's a great practice to continue to do that, is what the woman there in Madera was doing. And we're now going to take advantage of this space. And this practice I'm going to do is similar to the one we did in the beginning, but longer. It's a guided journey, a guided meditation, guided relaxation, sometimes referred to as guided imagery. So again, go ahead and get comfortable. And if you want, you can allow your eyes to gently close. Or you can cast them softly at the ground, or again, take in the space in front of you. And once again, check in with how you're feeling in your mind, in your body, in your heart. And again, feel the support of the chair underneath your legs, against your back, the floor supporting your legs and feet, again, allowing yourself to be held by the support that's here for you. In this case, the support of the chair. And bring your attention to the top of your head. And just notice how it feels. And continue to take deep breaths. And then notice how your face feels, your eyelids, your cheeks, your jaw. Moving down to your shoulders and taking another deep breath. And if you want, you can shrug your shoulders up and down. Bring your attention to your arms and hands. Notice how they feel. And if you wish, you can place your hands on your chest over your heart. Notice it rising and falling, expanding and contracting as you breathe in and out. And take a moment to really appreciate yourself for going on this journey, for trying new things this morning, a few new things. And just imagine that all that love and care and support that you give out to others, imagine it coming back to you, filling you back up with what you need, filling your heart. And if you want, you can place your hands on your belly and just feel your breath going in and out. And then notice your legs and your feet and how they feel. Imagine, if you can, that you have a water faucet, or if it works better for you, a waterfall on the bottom of each foot. And imagine any remaining stress or worries or planning just flowing out the bottom of your feet. If it's something you need to take care of later, you can pick it back up, but for now, just let it all go. And then imagine, if you can, a place where you feel really relaxed, safe, comfortable. Maybe it's a favorite room or place, or maybe it's somewhere outdoors. And just notice what you see, what objects, what colors, and what sounds do you hear? Or is there silence? And from this place, remember some of those techniques that we practiced together, the breath, the animal breathing, the breathing in and out, the arms up and down. And imagine yourself practicing these techniques with yourself, maybe with your coworkers, with the children. And imagine yourself, whenever you get pulled off center, when something happens, imagine yourself remembering to use one of these techniques. Imagine yourself coming back to center. And now check in again with how you're feeling in your mind, in your body, in your heart. And you can allow your eyes to softly open, or bring your attention, your focus back to the front of the room. Let's see another, how we're doing. Nice. So I'm curious where you all went on your journey. I'm going to show you a place where I go sometimes. Anybody recognize where this is? Hurricane Ridge, yeah, not too far from here, for those of you who don't know. And that's where I go sometimes to find peace when I can't get all the way from California to go up there physically. It's really important to have an inner place and an external place, an outer place where we can go to find peace. Now we're coming to the end of our journey together. And I want to share some thoughts that I had about the words "take care" as I was getting ready to share with you this morning. I didn't give a whole lot of thought to these words, "take care," before I started putting together this slide presentation. I use them sometimes in parting, closing an email. But again, it was when I was putting together this PowerPoint that it occurred to me what an essential, beautiful wish, encouragement, inspiration, reminder it is to leave somebody with. We've got a few tools now that we practiced today to help you take care. And you also should have a handout with a copy of the slide with that space between stimulus and response. And I'd like you to think about what might remind you to practice creating that space. What might remind you of that space? Maybe a word, pause, breathe, mindfulness, space. And you might want to write it into that space before you leave the room this morning or before the end of the day, or you might decide to just leave that space open and blank to remind you of space. And there's one last thing that I'd like to share with you this morning. But before I do that, I actually want to invite you to practice these techniques throughout the rest of the day, throughout the conference, and maybe find a buddy to remind each other to do this, to see how many opportunities you can take, you can create to make space, to pause, to breathe. And notice what happens when you do that. The last thing I want to leave with you today, I want to share with you something that Paramahansa Yogananda said, who's a teacher who came to the U.S. from India in the 1920s to teach meditation. And he teaches it to anybody who would listen. And he said something like, I'm paraphrasing, hold your serenity like you would a precious infant. You wouldn't just toss it aside when something happened. Right? You wouldn't do that with a precious infant. So any bit of serenity or peace or calm that you may have touched into this morning, as you go into the next part of the conference, don't just stand up and toss it aside. I want to encourage you to really care for, to nurture and grow that precious infant of serenity, of peace. Take care. Good job. Thank you. When I see you for the rest of the day, I want to have you come up to me and tell me what happened.